What's good, people? Man, do I have a good one today. It's the Miguron Mero. So I got this thing off of Amazon for $2.20. And for $2.20, this is about as good of a knife as you're going to get at that price point, in my opinion. It's a full-size knife for sure. It's 8.25 in length, and it's 4.8 ounces. It actually felt a lot lighter than that when I first opened it up. And a lot of that has to do with the balance point on it, which I'll show you here in a minute. But it's M390, and it's a dual ground, so hollow ground here, flat out at the front. And you can see it says M390 right there, which is the only branding on it other than the little M for Miguron. And this thing just looks phenomenal. I think it's hard to complain about the looks of this knife opened up. Now, closed, that big old giant freaking horn on the top of it isn't the prettiest thing I've ever seen, but for functionality's sake, I'll allow it. This diamond texture on here, let's just try to look at this shit. It is so good. It's like these little diamond / pyramid type, knurlings. And they provide just like the perfect amount of texture. They feel phenomenal in the hand. And then it's contoured on top of that. So, the contoured, textured titanium handle, and then a belt satin on the blade, along with the hand satin on the flats and the swedge and the spine. So it's just, for $2.20, it's kind of got all the things going for it. M390, which, Miguron isn't known for their great heat treats, but, even if it's, let's say, 59, I can live with that. I've got two sons that are 59, high 59s, and they do just fine in M390 for my purposes. I don't need edge retention I'm not going to be cutting down boxes for 4 hours straight. Let's just be honest, So I care more about the looks and the action of it, and I want a premium steel that's going to hold up. Don't get me wrong. I don't want it to be trash, but I'm not going to pay an extra $150, $350 for just because it's Magna Cut heat treated at, 63. That's absurd. But yeah, the clip works great on it. It's a wonderful clip. Even with the texture on here, it still works good, but you do kind of feel it pop over these, the lock bar cutout. I wish these were internal so that you didn't have that, but it's not terrible. It's not terrible, but I feel it pop just ever so slightly. We got the blue, that they're known for around the pivot collar, which on this one, I kind of wish it wasn't there. I mean, yeah, it adds a little bit of color on the backside, but I don't know. It just looks so clean, that I could do without it, to be honest with you. And then our deployments, we've got our front flipper and a blade window, kind of Vero style. And the ergos on this thing are pretty freaking phenomenal. Because of it being contoured, and because of the balance point on it. So, like I said, for this thing, it just didn't feel as heavy as 4.8 when I got it out of the box. And a lot of it has to do with where the balance point is on it. So it's right where your index finger sits. And so that just makes it feel lighter than it actually is. And then, don't get me wrong, this blade stock, so let's just measure it real quick, because this blade stock is pretty damn thick. Let's see, what do we got here? Yeah, damn near 15. Oh, can't see it because of the glare. So damn near 15. But down behind this belt satin hollow grind It's actually pretty thin. Let's see if I can get it. I'm so bad at doing this every freaking time. 14.5. So down behind this hollow grind right here, this thing is nice and slicey. You know, and of course it's going to get way thicker out here on the tip. I don't think it was that thick, but it might be. It's pretty thick out there. God almighty, I swear. I'll just do it behind. 28, 28 thousandths out here. So it's a really robust tip. You know, it thickens up pretty vastly and pretty quickly out here. But I kind of like that because it means that, like, I don't have to worry about, this dainty tip on the end of it. So I feel like I could use this knife, and not have to really worry about it. And it's going to slice really good because of this hollow grind. And like I said, it's done exceptionally well. And then again, this nice hand satin on the flat and the swedge and the spine. And then on the scales, again, all this is nicely chamfered around the edges. It's knocked down just everywhere, so it just feels so buttery in hand on these edges. And then the nice texture, and it's milled out from here to high heaven on the inside of it. Or pocketed out, it's heavily pocketed. It's got the full, the mid-length back spacer, and then, like I said, the tie clip. And then the action on this thing is, man, it's the best part of the knife. Honestly, this is the best front flipper I've ever used on any knife ever. Period. I don't even think it's close. The front flipper on this thing is just otherworldly good. And I mean, let's be honest, with how high this freaking thing sticks up, it better be. You know what I mean? Because good Lord, look at how high up that thing is. But from the jimping on it, which is done super well, it doesn't go up and around, but you don't even need it to, because by the time you get to that last jimp right there, you've got so much leverage on it that it doesn't even matter that it goes up and around. The rollover on this is the most satisfying rollover, and anybody can do it. As long as you can get your finger up and around right there, it's going. I mean, you don't even have to try, and it's going. And the same with the front flip. You just set your thumb right there, and literally, it's just so intuitive. You know what I mean? And the blade window, I was kind of worried about it. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I've never really had a knife that had the blade window, like Vero has on theirs. Now I have knives that have the fuller down here that are like this, that I flick off of, that I don't have a problem with, but never up this high like where the hole would be. But it works, and a lot of it is down to the fact that they left a nice edge all around this. Now it's not sharp, but it's grabby. So it makes it really easy to flick off of it, doing the reverse flick or the thumb. Now the thumb, I will say, it's not near as satisfying as doing the reverse flick. The thumb is definitely the most lacking deployment method on it. But like I said, surprisingly, the reverse flick is very satisfying on it. And lock bar access, I wasn't sure from looking at pictures and watching other videos, because when you look at it from the front, I keep thinking, man, that looks thin. It looks like it's going to be, borderline sharp, but then you can see it's laid back right there. And they laid it back on this side, so you can come in from the side so easily, and it doesn't take much pressure to move it out of the way. And then it falls and gets you in the choil, so you don't have to worry about the blade coming down and smacking you in the nail. Lockup's really good on it. We're sitting at, what are we sitting at? 40? And it's just, engagement's really good. The detent on it is real early, so there's our detent, and now we're over it. It does have a ramp as well. so you can ramp past it real easy. But it's nice and early, so you're not double clutching it or anything. And then the drop action on it. It was really good out of the box, but after I KPL'd it, man, it became excellent. And let me just let you listen to it for a second, because the noises this thing makes are phenomenal, in my opinion. It's so good. It's so thwacky and just, and then the detent on it is very good, like all Migurons are. This is probably on the heavier side, which it needs to be because of how much leverage you can get on this front flipper. But it just makes it so good. The only real negative that I have with this whole knife is our sharpening choil. So you can see it's damn near, you're going to sharpen it one time and it's going to smile out. It comes right to the edge. So you can see if we look behind of it, see how thick it gets, how fast it gets. But luckily the stop pin is internal, so you can cut this out all you want and not have to worry about it. And then the clip, like I said, the clip works good. It goes in and out of my pocket just fine, but I do get a little bit of pop going over the lock bar relief. So I wish this was internal. If that was internal, oh man, it would be so much better. But as is, it still works really good. It's very minimal pop going over it. I don't get hung up on it or anything. I can still easily go in and out one-handed, no problem. I'm just pretty darn smitten with this thing. It's a bigger knife, but you've got this nice choke up spot on it. I do wish we had some jimping because, this is the front flipper and it's inset down inside of the scales when it's opened up, so you really don't even feel this. And then because this is the hand rub satin going this way on this, it's super smooth, so it would be nice to have a little bit of jimping out here, but I can live without it. The choke up on it is super nice. You can get real tight behind the edge, and then even in the standard grip you've got all this room, and then you've got this nice curved butt right here that just wants to land right in the palm of your hand. I feel super secure no matter where I'm holding this thing at. And then because it's contoured, it just feels super premium with the contoured and the diamond texture. It's just a winner, man. It's a winner. And again, the best front flipper I have now, period. It's not even close in my opinion because it's so easy and it's so satisfying. And 220 for this thing. Let's do a couple of size comparisons real quick. So we got the Civivi Vision FG. It's going to be pretty close. Well, it's actually quite a bit bigger. I thought it was a little closer than that. Just kidding. Let's do this one, the top liner lock raccoon, just because some people probably have this one. So smaller for sure. And this is where I really wanted to compare it to. So here's a Devo, the tall boy, which is probably my favorite Devo. And this is an amazing knife. And it has a gorgeous belt satin on it. A belt satin hollow grind. And it's very nicely done. And this Miguron is just as nice. See if I can catch them both in the light here. But it's done just as well. And it even comes down thinner behind the edge than the Devo. And again, if we look at it with probably one of my favorite knives in my collection, but we're talking, this was $380. $380. It's a hollow grind too. It's Best Tech OEM, and the belt satin on it is phenomenal. But this Miguron is just as good. It's just as good in my opinion, as far as the belt satin goes. You know, and it's pretty. You know, it's still smaller, but fairly close. You know, this is an amazing knife, but it's expensive. But for what it is, it's flipping amazing. You know. But back to the Mero. I can't get this thing out of my hand since I got it. I love front flippers. I love a good front flipper, and like I said, this is the best front flipper I've encountered so far. Your mileage may vary on it, but for me, it just I don't know if it can get a whole lot better than the front flipper on this. And then you couple it with the nice belt satin, the hollow grind, textured titanium, and of course, the price. $220. Off Amazon. Shipped to you within a couple of days. You know, I think I got it in 2 or 3 days. They still had a couple on there last time I checked, but you know, they might be gone because that was like the only place I could find it. You know, outside of, I think, Miguron's own website. But yeah, this one comes highly recommended from me. If you've been looking at it and thinking about pulling the trigger on it, I would highly recommend it. It's great. Just great. All right, y'all have a good one.